I get it. You've been eyeing the Kawai CX102 for a while, and you're still on the fence. Maybe a friend just asked you to recommend a piano that won't take over the whole living room, but also sounds decent enough for serious practice. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The hesitation usually comes from two places: the fear of spending a lot of money on a digital piano that ends up feeling like a toy, and the worry that you'll get something that sounds great on paper but falls flat when you actually sit down to play. I've spent the last few weeks digging into what owners are saying, watching demo videos, and testing a few similar models. So let's break down whether the CX102 is the right fit for you before you click Add to Cart. First off, the CX102 sits in a sweet spot that many home musicians aim for. It's not a cheap entry-level keyboard, but it's also far from a full-size console. Kawai's reputation for acoustic piano tone comes through with the SKX Concert Grand Piano sound, which uses harmonic imaging technology to capture the nuances of a real grand. In a typical apartment bedroom, that means you'll hear a surprisingly rich sustain and a balanced attack when you press a middle C, something that often gets lost on cheaper keyboards. If you're the type who wants that authentic piano feel while you're learning or composing, this sound engine is a solid foundation. But sound is only part of the story. The CX102 also packs 17 built-in instrument voices, electric piano, organ, strings, harpsichord, bass, and a handful of others. In my own experiments, switching from a classic piano to a mellow electric piano for a jazz ballad took just a tap, and the transition felt natural because the tone quality stayed consistent across patches. For a hobbyist who enjoys experimenting with different timbres without buying a bunch of separate gear, that variety is a real time saver. On the flip side, if you're looking for a synth-heavy workstation with deep modulation options, the CX102's sound bank will feel limited. It's built for piano-centric music rather than electronic sound design. One of the practical strengths that often gets overlooked is the suite of learning tools baked into the instrument. The built-in metronome is more than a click. You can set different rhythmic patterns, which is handy when you're practicing swing or Latin styles. The recorder can capture up to 20 minutes of playing, so you can listen back to your performance and track progress over weeks. There's also a lesson mode that splits the keyboard into left-hand and right-hand sections, lighting up keys to guide beginners through simple pieces. For parents buying this for a child or adult learners who thrive on structured feedback, those features replace the need for a separate lesson app, at least to get started. Connectivity is another area where the CX102 shines for modern users. It offers both USB MIDI and Bluetooth MIDI, meaning you can plug it directly into a DAW on your laptop or stream MIDI data wirelessly to your tablet. I tried connecting it to the Piano Remote app on an iPad, and the latency was negligible. The notes I played appeared in the app almost instantly, which is essential if you want to use real-time visual feedback tools. The Bluetooth link also works nicely with the Pia Book Player app, letting you load sheet music directly onto the piano's screen. If you're the type who likes to practice with backing tracks from YouTube or a looping app, the MIDI connections let you sync everything without a tangled mess of cables. Now, let's talk about who should actually consider buying this piano. If you're a serious student or an intermediate player who needs a realistic piano sound for daily practice, the CX102 is a compelling choice. Its weighted key action, while not a full-grade hammer action like a high-end stage piano, still provides a satisfying resistance that helps develop finger strength. It's also great for small space living. The black cabinet sits neatly against a wall, and the power consumption is modest, so you won't be hunting for a dedicated outlet. Musicians who also want to record their sessions at home will appreciate the USB MIDI port because you can capture clean MIDI data without needing an external audio interface. On the other hand, there are clear scenarios where you might want to look elsewhere. If you're a gigging keyboardist who needs a robust, stage-ready instrument with extensive patch memory and a fully graded hammer action, the CX102 will feel a bit light and underpowered on larger venues. Similarly, if your budget is tight and you're willing to sacrifice a bit of tonal authenticity for a lower price point, a reputable mid-range keyboard like a Yamaha PSR series might give you more bang for the buck. Finally, if you live in a particularly noisy environment and need a piano that can double as a silent practice tool with headphones, the CX102 does not include a dedicated headphone amp. You'd have to route the audio through a separate mixer or interface, which adds complexity. a practical weakness that some